Ready, and we are on. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Mick Lebinskas here. I'm the author of She's Building a Robot, and it's a book that we're launching a crowdfunding campaign. You can go to shesbuildingarobot.com to find out about the book. And I have another person who I've had the very wonderful pleasure of working with through the Mirror-D technology program, accelerator funded by Telstra. Emma, and Emma, welcome to this interview, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for having me, Mick.
Can we just start by what's your full name, what's your job title, and what's the company you work for?
I'm Emma Poposka. I am one of the co-founders and CEO of a company called Bron. What we do at Bron, we are developing this digital identity platform that will help companies around the world to comply with the Anti-Money Laundering Act and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act, and will enable companies, especially the ones in the financial services, to easily verify their customers. So we establish trust. We want to say that way.
Excellent. And I'll add the notes in, but the web address is bron.tech.
Yes. We were very clever with our domain name. So Bron.tech is the name of the company, but it's also the domain name of the website. So.
Bron.tech. So fantastic. Thank you. And I just want to start, when did you first get into technology, and how did that happen in your life?
Well, none of my parents is really into technology, or my brother. So I would say that I'm the first one in my family. I really liked math during elementary school and high school. And it was something that I could do all day, every day. And it was fun for me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to a school where I can, do a lot of math, and I can also do a lot of software development, because that's something that I picked up at high school. Okay. So I studied computer science.
So tell me, back in high school though, was that a course that was just offered and you had to do it and you liked it, or did a particular teacher say, hey, you're good at maths, you should check out programming? What was the very first time when you got exposed to programming?
Okay, so it was first year in high school. There was this programming language called Pascal. It's very old. I don't think anybody's using that anymore. And it was a subject that we can choose in school. So this was back home in Macedonia, that's Eastern Europe. So I went in this class. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what a programming language meant.
I want to stop. So you had the option. It was on a list of things. So you could have done a foreign language. You could have done drama, you could have done geography. Like, why is it? Because I'm trying to really pinpoint that original decision. Did you pick it randomly? Like, what was the influence that got you to pick the programming?
So I went to this school, high school, that was where most of the students that like math would go to that school.
Okay.
And programming languages will kind of bundle up with the math subject. So I actually went there for the equations, but I stumbled on this thing that was programming language. And I didn't even know what it was. Okay. And we had a female teacher at the time. So she was really clever and really,
Do you remember her name?
Yes, Rosalinda.
Rosalinda, fantastic. I'd love to link to her and give her some love back, because those moments of those people like Rosalinda, who's your maths teacher, and to put the effort of putting some computer programming into your maths class when you're like, hey, what's this about? And all of a sudden, here you are, the CEO of an amazing technology company. I really want to get to those moments, because it also recognizes that it needs sometimes a person to encourage you to take that first step, and also how special those people are. So well done, Rosalind.
Yeah, absolutely. And she was a great teacher. Yeah. And then I sat on the computer and I was like, what is this? And, so like, you write what you want the computer to do, and then it's done. Yep. And then the computer will do something. And basically the first class, I remember it was when you click a button, a right line command executes, and it says something, and it says like "Hello World."
Sure.
Which is literally the first lesson of every software development course. And I'm like, oh my God, I can actually tell this thing to do something, and it will do it. So it was, after math, it was my favorite subject. And I went on, and I think the teacher really knew that I really liked the subject. And I was like, I don't want to be I'm not really modest with this, but I was really good at it. So I started going to
Don't be modest.
competitions and, competing on national level, in software development. It was really, really, really fun. And then during the classes, we could do regular things, regular tasks that the teacher would do. But when we went to competitions, we had to optimize stuff. So like, do the same thing that you do at class, but make it run faster or spend less memory, and it was so fun. So yeah, that's how I started, and I really loved that. And then it was no brainer for me to choose computer science, and I loved my time during university.
That's great. It's a really good story. Thank you for sharing. At any point, did you find being a female make it any more challenging in your learning of software engineering or building out a company?
Being a female, well, it has some pros and cons. It has some, so currently there is this movement around women entrepreneurs. So we are getting more chances than we had previously. So, people will acknowledge, they were like, oh yeah, you're a woman, you're doing a great job. We are aware that was an issue previously, that we were not acknowledging women enough. So we are so happy to have you. So that's obviously, early in my career, so let's say 10 years when I had 10 years ago, when I had my first job, things were a little bit different. I wouldn't say I have any traumatic experience, but in my first and second team, I was the only woman developer in the team. So that was a little bit interesting because, so let's say it's not traumatic experience, but it's more like after work, the guys had like a football club, and I was never invited because women don't play football. So they would have all these, networking experiences and bonding experiences and becoming friends out of work where I couldn't do that. But then I picked up ping pong and I became very good at it. So that was the only thing that I could do after work. So that was something that I really didn't like. Same for my first job. They also played football. I don't know what's with men developers and football. So that was, but I never felt not appreciated at work.
Okay. And just, did you feel in terms of, you went to a mathematics-based school, so I guess programming was supported. So I guess there weren't social pressures for you in terms of, sometimes it's stigmatized, right? It's like, oh, that's not a very teenage girl thing to do, programming, that's a bit boring. And some people face pressure from their friends and some people face pressure from their families. And you were your first family member to do programming, but was it positive for you? Did you get support from your family and friends?
Well, so I come up from a very interesting family. So my mother is the first woman in the army in Republic of Macedonia.
Wow.
So I come from, yeah.
Talk about a role model. First of all, you got an amazing maths teacher, and now you got a mum who's the first woman in the army. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I've always had I grew up in a family where women were appreciated and they could do anything they set up their mind to. So my mom was the one that was, she had a gun. Let's put it that way. And my dad was always supportive of that. So pressure from my family, I never had in terms of, oh, you're a woman, you're a girl, you can't do this. Right. It was more around, math, because nobody really in my family likes math. And it's so weird that I do. So they were, oh, that sounds like very difficult. It's too hard. You should take something easier like languages or economics. Like, no, I want to do this. So, they were just worried that it would be like a very difficult school for me and a very difficult profession. But so after I said, no, I'm fine with this. I can do this. I've always wanted to do this. They were fine with it. So I didn't have any of those pressures. In terms of friends, I think I hang out with a very self-selected group. Okay. I went to this math high school, and then most of my friends went to computer science. So I had a lot of friends growing up that actually knew that technology would be the future. So I didn't really have any pressures. The only pressure that in terms of work I would have is that guys always want to work with other guys. It's like this bro
Right.
culture that we have in tech, and I definitely do not fit that picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was the only thing that I really think I was missing out during my work in tech, but nothing more dramatic than that.
Okay. In your view, from what you've seen working in tech, are things getting better? Are there more women who love maths and love programming, and is that bro culture diminishing even a little bit?
Mm. Well, I think women have always loved math and programming. That's how we are wired. We can do those things. The reason why we don't is because we always felt unwelcome.
Okay.
Like we never felt like we were welcome in those circles.
Yeah.
And even now when I interview, so for example, the first time we had a job offering, so we had like a job offering for job post for 3 positions in our company, and we had no women applicants whatsoever. Okay. And I feel like women, and then when we had our first ones, they weren't less smart than men, but women feel like they have to be better than anyone else to apply. They have to be, I feel they're not very confident in their abilities, or they feel they will be judged, where, we would have like guys who applied for our job positions, and they would not even qualify for half of the half of the skills that we requested, and they would be like, yeah, I can totally learn that. I have a friend, and they'll show me. Where women are like, oh my god, but I don't know how to do this. How, like, should I take additional courses? Tell me, I will do everything like 1 month in ahead. So we had our first women employee in Sydney. We have many in Macedonia, but in Sydney, joining us a couple of months ago, and she outperformed everyone, including myself. She was really good. But when I talked to her, she was too modest, and she said, oh my god, I'm not sure if I know this, can you send me some documents, can you send me some training materials? I'm happy to learn before I start work. And we kind of have to it's not the worst thing in the world, but we kind of have to, women have to realize that we're no less smart than men, and less competent. So yeah,
it's an interesting point, and maybe things will balance out, because if I'm interviewing a female candidate, a male candidate, I can be like, well, at least the female candidate's being completely honest that they can do the job, where the male candidate's probably bluffing on half of it. So maybe that eventually those things should get better if that's the case, because I think that's true. I certainly, when I look at a project, I'm like, yeah, 60%, that's enough. I can do the rest. I can work out the rest. Whereas but I think I've seen that as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether women get more confidence and sort of say, you know what, I can do 60%. I'll work out the rest, or whether the things will rebalance in another way. I hope.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we don't. I really don't know. It's just women need certainty. They need to know that they can do the job. They feel this personal responsibility if something that goes wrong, that it's their fault. And where men, it's like, oh yeah, it is what it is. I tried my best. And yeah, but definitely we had some very good. We do have now some very good women in our team.
Right. So, okay. And the last thing, if for any message for a teenage girl who maybe they unfortunately they don't have a teacher who's being supportive, or opportunities that you had, is there any tip that you have for them about maybe pursuing getting started? What's a good methodology to take, or mindset to have? What's a good first step?
Oh well, this is a very general advice, but like, do what you love. So it's if math or computer science or whatever is something that you really, really want to do in life, just do it. Don't ask for permission. Don't ask for, approval from anyone else. You just do it, and then build on those successes. So I feel 100%, not 100, like 10,000 times more confident than 10 years ago. Like it's just when you have these small successes and these small wins in life, you feel better. And, once you succeed being the first developer in your team, then you'll succeed in being, the first CEO or the first whatever. So that's one thing. Yeah, so that would be like the most general advice.
Yeah.
Don't ask for approval. And even when you fail, and we all do, you know, just learn from it and move on. Take that, like I would say, male mindset. It's not the end of the world. I will just try again. And you know, it's like, it's not an advice towards women only. It's just like general life advice.
Yeah, great advice. And I really, really appreciate you sharing. I look forward to challenging you in ping pong. I was primary school champion at Valley View Primary School in on the central coast of New South Wales. So you know, maybe, and I also have it on virtual reality here. So even if we're not in the same town, we can have a game. So
okay, I'll take the challenge.
Game on. And thank you so much for sharing wonderful stories about how you got into maths, support of your mum, first woman in the army, and totally about not apologising for and doing things you love. So Emma from Bron Tech, thank you so much for your time and the support of our book. I'll be putting this video up on the Medium post. Also, don't forget to check out shesbuildingarobot.com and buy a book soon. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.